Hello, everybody. How are you all today? Can you hear me loud and clear? Afternoon if it's afternoon, evening if it's evening, night if it's night, morning if it's morning. Wherever you are, thanks for joining me. My name is Colin. You may have met me before, virtually. Nice to have you back. And a special welcome, of course, to everyone on YouTube. Been having a few gremlins in the system about YouTube. Good, glad, Mohit, I'm glad you can hear. Yeah, so YouTube has been a bit of a problem. I think it's now working. I can see a good number of people there. And everyone on Zoom, hello. Thank you, Zoom people, for being here. Could you make sure that as you go, you put your comments and answers and things in the chat box, rather than forcing my poor little brain to handle multiple windows. Oh, New Zealand. Oh, last thing you do before you go to bed. Thanks for staying up to watch me. Yeah, so Q&A rather than chat box, if you don't mind, because that's just easier for me, so I don't have to have too many windows open. Cool. Today we are doing writing, and we will do practice for each of the two tasks. The two tasks being summarize written text, of which there are 2 or 3 in the actual test, and you get to spend 10 minutes on each, and write essay. There might be 1 or possibly 2 essays in the test, and you get to spend 20 minutes on each. So there you have it. 2 tasks. I know that there are other tasks in the test that will have an influence on your writing score, most notably summarize spoken text, but that's in the listening section. Reading and writing fill in the blanks is in the reading section. We're only concerned with the 2 that come under the writing section, okay? A couple of things to tell you before we get properly underway. The first is that we are now offering PTE students at EQ Language group classes. Group classes meaning small groups, 2 to 5 students with 1 expert teacher. They happen over Zoom, but you get to interact, and especially focusing on 1 or 2 areas of the test, especially focused on productive skills, meaning the speaking and writing sections. But they're very productive, and they're extremely good value for money. So look into doing 1 of those. If not, you don't want to share the time with anyone, go ahead and do a one-on-one tutorial. That's on Zoom also, but it's just you and your teacher, and you focus on up to 3 areas of the PTE that are of particular interest or concern to you. Definitely an excellent use of your time and resources, and I would strongly recommend them. We like them as teachers, and I'm sure that you as students also get a lot out of them. So if you've not yet done one, think about booking a one-on-one tutorial. Similarly, the mini mock test, which is done on the E2 Language platform, in addition to a, what do we call it? The speaking is done, you know, with human beings, if necessary, but you record everything, it's all uploaded, and you get a nice score report at the end. You get feedback on your writing and your speaking. Definitely worth doing. If you've not already done so, think about doing that, especially if you've never done the test before, or you've done the test before and you want to just check that you are as good as you thought you were. That's terrific. Thanks for your... if you just want a one-on-one tutorial, then you should, yeah, the one-on-one tutorials are ideal for just specifically focusing on speaking. And if it's not included in your package, just go to E2 Plus Extras and do it through that. That should work. Let me know if it doesn't. So this is the PTE Live Mock Test for writing. Today is indeed the last day of May. Who would have thought it came so quickly? Questions, if you don't mind, save them for the end. And in the meantime, if you want more guidance or an explanation, do think about coming to the live classes. They happen Monday to Thursday where I am. They happen twice a day. There's one in the middle of the day, which is good for, I think, for South Asia. Youssef, good question. Does it continue into June? I need to check that. I'll have an answer for you, don't worry. Yeah, so we have one Monday to Thursday, first thing in the morning, South Asia time, lunchtime in Australia, in Eastern Australia. And then we repeat that in the evening as well. And then we also have a live mock test during the week. Speaking of live mock test during the week, the content that we're doing today, now, we did in the middle of last week. So if you came to the live mock test a few days ago, I think Tuesday evening my time, it's the same stuff. You're very welcome to stay. And I don't think there's anything bad about repeating exercises and just making sure you actually get it right. So yeah, don't feel that you have to go anywhere. Just be aware that if you've already seen these question prompts before, that's because we showed them to you before. The new material starts tomorrow. So every week we have a new cycle, and brand new live class and a brand new live mock test. So you have a lot to take advantage of anyway. All right, cool. So I won't be able to give you individual feedback today, unfortunately, and I do encourage you all to be putting your answers into the chat box as we go, or into the comments. So I'd like to see what you're producing. If you do want something more meaningful, do send it through for feedback analysis by us through the platform, or in your one-to-one tutorial, or you might be the lucky person who has their essay conclusion examined and analysed by me. Don't worry, I do it anonymously. No one will know who you are. You'll know who you are, but no one else will know who you are. And I will very happily be analysing one person's essay conclusion today. It's an interesting task that's, I think, to see how my thought process works as a PTE teacher, how I would actually go about taking that work and, let's say, improving it a little, okay? So that will happen a little bit later. First, we start with summarized written text. This, if you will remember, involves you reading a text, making notes on the text, drafting and improving, and then finalizing a single sentence summary, one sentence. The rules dictate a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 75 words, but 5 words is way too few to have any serious impact on your score. 75 is way too long without sounding insane. So we strongly recommend a sentence of between 30 and 40 words that you can do beautifully without resorting to weird, fancy punctuation. When I say weird and fancy, brackets, slashes, dashes, commas, semicolons, colons, keep it simple. Capital letter at the start, full stop at the end, and any relevant commas in the meantime, in the middle. Interesting. Okay, I'll talk to you about that at the end of the session if it's not working. If you're continuing to have problems booking a one-on-one tutorial, do shoot a message through to help.e2language.com. Hello, Turkey. Nice to have people from Turkey here as well, as from every country. So remember, summarize written text. You have 10 minutes to do this task. I will not interrupt you as you go. And as you go, yeah, work your way through the task. Be diligent, be thoughtful, and make sure you take information from across the whole text, okay? I think that's all I need to say to you at the moment. Let's just wait for the slide to move. It always does this. There it is. Okay. Okay, listen, good luck. I'll be quiet. Lovely. For those of you who are a bit worried that they couldn't hear anything, that's because I stay quiet. I don't interfere with your work as you're going. And thank you very much for all of the submissions that you have shared with me. Beautifully done. And everyone pretty much remembering that it is a single sentence. Like I say, try and avoid semicolons, mainly because it's not easy to use them well. You're looking for a single sentence, just avoid semicolons, colons, and so on. Just stick to commas. Beautiful. Also, a few of you have used contractions. Don't, can't, mustn't. Don't use contractions. Use the full, you know, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, nice. All right, let's have a look then. As far as note taking is concerned, look at the left-hand side. Waste toilet paper, significant part of municipal waste, businessman's dream, negative cost, generating electricity, demand for renewable energy, continually available resource. So we've got two examples, one of 32 words. Waste toilet paper, which is a raw material that is abundant and carries negative cost, can be used to generate electricity and thereby meet consumer demand for increased use of renewables. The second example of 30 words, waste toilet paper, which is rich in carbon, is an abundant renewable resource that can be recycled and used as a resource for generating electricity and thus provides business opportunities. Difficult to write a long sentence without using a non-defining relative clause, and hats off to everyone who did use a non-defining relative clause. If you're in doubt about whether you should write Zoom people, do so in the chat box. Thank you, Abital, for asking. Can you paraphrase? You don't need to paraphrase the whole thing. No, you're basically making notes of what you have read and then spinning those notes into a beautiful summary. What I sometimes find easy is come up with a number of short factual sentences and then work on connecting those. How many words can you get from the passage? No more than 3 in a row. More than that starts looking like copying. Can you start a sentence with the same word? Yeah. I'm not quite sure what you mean by the same word as what. Can you start with words waste toilet paper? Sure. It's not about words in a row. I think up to 3 words in sequence from the text. So electricity produced is renewable, like that sort of thing. So don't go over the top. What you want to do is make sure that it's clear to the person reading your text, if indeed a person were reading it, that you've understood the text and your. No, here's what I would say. With the summary that you write in summarized written text, based on reading your one sentence summary, could somebody reading your summary understand basically what the text is about? That's it. The same with describe image. Based on my words, can somebody understand what I'm looking at without seeing it? How do you make sure you can get a full score for content? Make sure you take information from across the entire text. So let's break that down, Fatima. Thank you. Good question. You break it down 7 points available. 7 points. Yeah, you need to show a certain complexity with your grammar. So use complex sentences, compound sentences, relative clauses, okay, appropriate conjunctions, linking words. So content, if you wrote a good summary and you covered all the relevant aspects, you get 2 points. If your length was between 5 and 75 words, you get 1 point. 2 points for correct grammar and 2 points for appropriate and precise vocabulary. Yusuf and anyone else who's asking me, you should use connecting words, by the way. Look, if I give you that text, or if I give a room of, let's say, 20 of my best ever students that text, I should come up with 20 different summaries, but all of which cover all of the same bases without too many difficulties. I think people start having problems when they think that there's only one way of doing a task. They try and commit that to memory and then try to basically regurgitate that at any given opportunity. The same with essay, the same with this summarized spoken text. There's no template. Be flexible. Are there negative points? There's more than 3 consecutive words. Yeah, I think you should avoid that. You don't want to be just, as I said, reproducing word for word what you see. You need to show that you've understood what you have read. I think that's the important thing. Okay, good observations. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on now to write essay. I think this is a thing that slightly terrifies a lot of people. Important note, reminding you that one person will have their conclusion looked at and edited. I will keep you anonymous, so please don't panic. If you want something more meaningful and comprehensive, do feel free to come to our tutorials, which are brilliant. Come also perhaps to the small group classes, which are excellent, and naturally the feedback, which we invite you to submit for analysis by our experts. There is a 4-paragraph structure to writing essay. Introduction of 3 sentences, 4 sentences each in the body 1 and 2, and a 2-sentence conclusion. The introduction is broken up this way. You start with a neutral background statement about that topic, and then you rewrite the question in your own words to demonstrate that you've understood what the question is asking. Then, the most important sentence of the whole essay, tell the reader the main idea of body 1 and 2 and your opinion. Okay? Why is this so important? Well, because it relates to the topic sentence in each of body 1 and 2. Body 1 is topic sentence, support sentence, evidence, and close. And then you do the same thing again. The first sentence relates back to the third sentence of the introduction. Topic, support, evidence, close. Then your conclusion. Tell the reader what you told them. And then sentence 2 relates back to sentence 3 of the introduction again. State your opinion and summarize your argument. Good question from JC. Do I speak British English or Australian English? Let me ask the room. What do you think I sound like? Can you use simple words? Don't overdo it, Youssef. You need to show that you're Juliana, you're right. Taris, you're right. Varsha, you're right. I'm British. I live in Australia, but I think my accent overall is British. Thanks for your observations, though. I do live in Melbourne, and if I'm pushed, I will sound like an Australian, but my natural sound is from the UK. Yeah, so yeah, of course you can use simple words naturally, but don't overdo it. You need to show a certain linguistic sophistication. Just because your writing is accurate, just because it's Taras, that's not true, actually. British people do give up their accents. I just haven't. Don't know why, actually, to be honest with you. Moved here when I was 9. One of those things. What you want to demonstrate is look, it is an opinion essay, so you are giving your opinion on it. And you want to do that by not overdoing it on the number of topics that you're raising. Okay, generally speaking, you want an argument in favor, an argument against, but your overall opinion is one or the other. Okay, chocolate or strawberry? Well, chocolate definitely, but I can see that there are some benefits of strawberry. Okie doke. Thank you very much for everyone guessing my accent. Cool. Yes. So there you have it. That's the structure. So we're going to look at the question prompt now. Here it is. A couple of things. Let me read it to you. As technology improves and computers are able to translate languages quickly and with greater accuracy, learning foreign languages will become a waste of time. Discuss your opinion and support your point of view with reason and or examples. That's a fairly typical PTE sort of a question, not really controversial, but hopefully one about which you have at least something to say. Remember, you've got the 4-paragraph structure. 2 minutes at the start to plan out your writing. That means, what am I going to put in each paragraph? Then you've got 16 minutes to write your beautiful essay. So the 4 paragraphs, introduction, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. And then 2 minutes at the end to proofread. Why are you proofreading? Because you can catch a lot of marks that might otherwise be dropped in the proofreading. Okay, 2 minutes to proofread. Check for things like subject, verb, agreement, verb tenses, prepositions, wrong word collocation, too many words, word order, punctuation, and spelling. Whatever it might be, find it, identify it, and fix it before you press submit. Okay? Yeah. Okay, hope that makes sense. How many essays will be in the PTE? Okay, normally one, possibly two. Just be prepared to do. When it is one, you can breathe a sigh of relief. So it's normally one, but it might be two. You will get, of course, 20 minutes to write another essay. Why do you get varying numbers of essays or varying numbers of summaries or varying numbers of anything? Because Pearson are constantly trying out new material. You won't know what they're trying out as new material and what is actually very importantly assessed. So take it all seriously, please. Okay? So you got the prompt, you got the structure, you've got the proofreading answer key. What I'd like you to do now, if it will allow me to, is to spend 20 minutes. Okay, remember 2 minutes to plan, 60 minutes to write, and 2 minutes to proofread. One person will have their conclusion looked at in front of the group. Good luck, everyone. Thank you very much, everybody. Now, I noticed a few questions coming through. The first I should deal with is, in these live classes and live mock tests, people on Zoom put all of your submissions through the chat box so I can see and read as they come. So that's good. Somebody asked about the Oxford comma. Don't worry about the Oxford comma, really. I mean, it's such a minor thing. It's not going to be the, won't be the thing that makes you pass or fail the PTE. Okay. So July, yeah, answers all, of course, in the, as I said, in the chat box. That would be great. Now, remember, we're focusing on somebody's conclusion today. And the conclusion is, tell the reader what you told them and then state your opinion and summarize your argument. Okay. Yeah, some nice stuff in this. I'm just choosing one, two we need to choose from. Okay, so remember, we're looking for 2 sentences. I'm going to stop sharing briefly, and then we'll look. I'll share my screen again, okay? So I'll see you in a second. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just not sharing my screen for a moment. Let's look at someone's conclusion. If it's yours, well done. Don't worry, it will remain anonymous. Nobody will know. And I'll share my screen where you can see. We'll work on it. I'll work on it in front of you, okay? You can now see my screen again. So remember, tell the reader what you told them and sum it up, your opinion. In order to conclude, language learning is always helpful as a person is acquiring a new skill, especially in the absence of technology in some remote areas. In my view, people can connect, and rather than having a machine-to-machine communicate, it will lead to a heart-to-heart communication. Okay, so a bit of repetition there of communicate and communication. But pretty good overall. Thank you. Thanks to the person who submitted. Let's start from the beginning then. In order to conclude, how about the more traditional in conclusion? That would be a more regular sort of way of introducing your conclusion. Language learning is always helpful as a person is acquiring new skill, especially in the absence of technology in some remote areas. You don't want to be introducing new ideas here. What you want to be doing is tell the reader what you told them. So let's see. Language learning is always helpful because people, plural, people are, I'm going to spell that correctly, always acquiring new skills in general, okay? And let's get rid of the especially. In the absence of technology, I'm not quite sure what I'm adding by saying in the absence of technology in some remote areas. This is my conclusion. So I've already made my case earlier on in the essay about not everyone in isolated or remote areas has access to technology, and therefore you have to learn without a computer. Let's get rid of the always so we don't repeat the always. So I'm not quite sure if I need to have the absence of technology in some remote areas, because that point has already been made. So I don't want to be necessarily emphasizing a point again. Not badly put, it's just, I think, a little redundant in the conclusion. In my view, or in my opinion, people can connect, and rather than having machine-to-machine communicate, how about this? When people connect, comma, sorry about my typing there. rather than having a machine-to-machine communication, again, connect, communicate, communication. I don't want to repeat there, so I might find a synonym. Rather than having a machine-to-machine communication, having two machines talking to one another, in my view, when people connect, rather than having two machines talking to one another, and then I'll carry on with what you've got there, it leads, but only the future simple, it leads to heart-to-heart about conversations. Okay, something like that. I don't need my conclusion doesn't need to be extended or distended unnecessarily. It's 2 sentences, and it's the essence of my essay. Tell the reader what you told them, and then your opinion. Okay, I don't think 2 machines talking to one another is meaningful, whereas 2 people talking to one another is meaningful. So in essence, that's my argument. I'm going to share again. Just bear with me for a moment. Let's have a look at a sample essay. Don't go away, hold on. I hope this is clear for you. Thank you very much to the person who shared their conclusion with me. I hope that was helpful. So there we have an essay. Look at the plan on the left-hand side. It's not very long, but remember that those first 2 minutes are very important. Introduction, learning language, cultural understanding. Body 1, auto-translators, signs, expressions, communication, but not 100% accurate. Body 2, complexity of language, tone, irony, only humans. The conclusion, need to learn languages. Need to learn languages. So there's my essay of 259 words. However, look at it now. This might be useful to take a screenshot of if you excuse me. Thank you, Mo. That's fine. So the grammar. A couple of things to bear in mind. We've got 3 interesting structures here. All right, complex structures. So number 1, as you can see in the introduction, that all-important 3rd sentence. This essay will argue that despite the many advantages of translation tools, learning foreign languages is most definitely not a waste of time, as it is an important aspect of deep cultural understanding. That is, despite X, comma, Y. In paragraph 2, body 1, effectively, the 2nd sentence, the support sentence. Written communications can be put through a translation tool into hundreds of languages, and the results, although maybe not 100% accurate, are more than adequate. So that is X, although Y. X, although Y. And then finally, we have an X, comma, but Y. And again, the support sentence in body 2, automated translation may have improved dramatically, but it can struggle with the complexity of language without human intervention. So there you go, my friends. Marking. 3 points for content if you answered the question. Everything else is 2 points. Length between 200 and 300 words, 2 points. Development, structure, and coherence, which was done well and logically, 2 points. Grammar, which is consistent with few errors, 2 points. Linking vocabulary, conjunctions, linking ideas, and so on, connectors, 2 points. Range of vocabulary, if you use a nice broad range of words. Ajanta, if you want to give an example, you can. It's quite useful to, because it does ask in the essay prompt, give examples. And spelling, 2 points if your spelling was correct. So there is the structure. Make sure that you've got that down pat. If you've not taken the test before, or if this is new to you, get familiar with the structure. It's going to help you enormously. Splendid. Goodness, thank you. Lots of beautiful submissions today. Thank you. So No, it's up to you. You can decide. You can decide if you think computers are more efficient or it's not worthwhile to learn a language. That's fine. It's entirely up to you. No one is telling you what to think, but come up with an idea, come up with an opinion. No one really cares what you genuinely think about any topic. Don't forget, you're writing this essay that's going to be read by a machine, an algorithm. So don't panic about it. That's not what's being graded. Oh, this person has the wrong opinion. I'm going to give them a terrible mark. All right, so summarize written text, you got a total of 7 out of 7. Write essay, you give yourself a total out of 15. Be self-critical, it's not a bad thing. You need more space, yeah, we all need. Yeah, you're not wrong. So give yourself a score out of 22. What does that mean, though, in number terms? If you got 19 or more out of 22, that's a 79 plus in the test. If you got 16 or more, that's a 65 plus in the test. If you got 12 or more, that would be a 50 plus in the test. Okay. So there you have it. If you're not getting a top score in the writing, why not? What do you need to do to improve? Perhaps you're off topic, you didn't answer the question. Maybe you lack vocabulary and you don't use enough linking words. Maybe you did not understand the text in summarized written text. Maybe your work is either too long, that can happen, or too short, that happens all too often. Maybe you were not able to develop one main argument in each body paragraph. Maybe your introduction was not clear. Maybe you're struggling with the grammar, things like tenses, articles, and so on. Final score of the PTE, you get a score out of 90 for every skill. Are we allowed to use either the US? Yes. Stick with one form of English. British English is fine, American English is fine, just be consistent about it. All right. Perhaps you have issues with spelling, maybe your timing isn't great, maybe you did not understand the structure. What can you do? Start with our blog, blog.e2language.com. Click on the PTE button at the top, and then go to our wonderful PTE writing blog, which is chock-a-block with really interesting essays written by interesting people. In terms of preparation time, I recommend choose first language is English. It doesn't really matter. If your first language is English and you're going to take one of these big tests, it doesn't really matter. Just choose one and get familiar with the structure of that test. I think one of the problems a lot of native speakers make when they're preparing for these tests is, it's an English test, it will be fine. Without thinking, I just need to be familiar with what the structure of the test is and what's expected of me. The thing is that people who learn English as a second language know, because they learn structures of English, and native speakers generally don't. We don't offer books for PTE, we offer access to all of our content, and you're going to see that in a moment. Check out the study pathway the first time you log into your dashboard. Log into the course with your username and password, do the study pathway. That gives you a route through the PTE from beginning to end, and of course you've got the schedule of all of the stuff that we've got going on, live mock tests, live classes, etc. The content is available to be viewed at the PTE course, and we have the backup grammar stuff, which you're going to find enormously helpful as well. Is it true you score more points in write from dictation than write essay? No. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation about how the scores are. I know that there are websites that are saying this is the way that the algorithm works. Nobody knows how the algorithm works. That's someone selling you a pig in the poke. You need more space between the structure for submit. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do about that. In my window, there's a note E2 plus extras. There should be in your dashboard something called E2 plus extras. I don't know why there wouldn't be one. That's a bit weird. Are there sites to improve speaking pronunciation skills? Yes. E2 School, E2 School, our sister site, E2 School, and do the speaking lab course. You can sign up for free. How do you manage time? Yes, time is a nightmare. Get used to practicing with the clock all the time, without exception. Can you repeat the scoring system? Writing section. Yeah, it's a mark out of 15 for your essay and mark out of 7 for your summarized written text. abbreviations okay, like IQ? Sometimes, if it's a normally used one. So if you're writing the word, you're writing about diseases like AIDS, nobody would expect you to write acquired immunity deficiency syndrome. So that sort of thing. If it's a commonly used acronym or initialism, that's fine. I would generally put a line between the paragraphs. Don't worry about small things. The package continues in June. I think so. You know what? Because it's the very last day of May, I just need to double check, because I get new information about the new packages. I just need to double check that. I don't want to give you false information. I hope it does. It's a very good package, Varsha. I think we can agree. Sorry, not Varsha. Sorry, Youssef. Proverbs okay in writing? Yeah, if you use them correctly and if they're appropriate. If you were to use the expression "a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush" and it related to what you're writing about, that's fine. A set of connecting words, yes, go to the core skills. Chathu, go to the core skills section of our course. For writing numbers, etc., use numbers. Yes, the protocol for writing numbers, idioms not allowed. If it's appropriate, yes, but I can't think that there's any real need to use idioms. When do I write numbers and when do I write the word? You write the word from numbers 0 to 10. From number 11 onwards, you write the numerals. So the word under 11, from 11 up, you write the word. That's generally the practice that we would encourage. I don't know that it would make an enormous difference, frankly, on the day of the test, but that's just what we do. Live classes such as this are advertised, and the recordings of the classes are made available for people who have access to the E2 language packages. You can watch them as many times as you like for up to 2 weeks. Tutorials are awesome. Think about booking one. And so are the small group classes. It's a group of 2 to 5 students. You get pampered, and it's only $12, so it's really useful. Retail lecture is very difficult. It is, but it's something you can improve with practice. Youssef, once you realize that retail lecture is you talking about somebody talking about something, that makes it a little bit easier, because it's all about reported speech structures. The speaker was talking about strawberry ice cream. He mentioned that strawberry ice cream is the most delicious flavor in the whole world. He went on to say da 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 and so on. Okay, every point should be connected to a reporting verb. Hope that makes sense. Cool. Any other questions? Or maybe there's a question that was asked and I just didn't have a chance to see it. Oh, thank you, Varsha. Appreciate your feedback. Hope it was useful. It's my pleasure, Youssef. Enjoy. Just realized my camera is off again. Sorry about that. Wasn't intentional. They go on, they go off. Anything else? Anything else I can answer? Thank you very much. Lots of excellent stuff on YouTube as well. How do you generate ideas? There was a question on YouTube, but I'm going to share that one because it's interesting. A lot of people get stuck for ideas. Make stuff up. It's fine. No one's going to check the veracity of your arguments as long as they're consistent with the question. Okay. So you want to make a case for, I don't know, electronic cigarettes should be banned. Now, I don't know if they'd ask that question, but imagine if they're asked the question. Electronic cigarettes are a gateway to hard drugs and should be banned. And so if you want to invent a statistic saying in between 2018 and 2020, 167,000 American teenagers died from excessive use of electronic cigarettes. No one's going to check. As long as it's consistent with your argument, that's okay. What's the difference between OET and PTE? One is designed for doctors. The other is a general test. Doctors and nurses, obviously medical professionals, the OET. Also, OET is pen and paper, although in June they are testing out a computer-based version. It's also, I think, probably a little bit more expensive, and it's the speaking, for example, in the OET is role plays. You and an interlocutor doing role plays for different scenarios. It's interesting, different test. Yeah. So, Varsha, if you want to quote that famous study from University of Oxford. It's fine, don't worry. But remember, this is the PTE academic, so if you're structuring it in terms of arguing your case, do it in a manner that sounds a little academic. That's good. How does one arrive at 79, 65, and 50 according to the scoring scale? Well, we lay out very clearly what the criteria are, how you are graded. So if your spelling is terrible but everything else is fine, there's nothing to stop you getting 79. Spelling is just one of the criteria. You have to look at all of the criteria. And I hate using the word holistic, but you need to have a holistic approach to the way that you do all of the tasks. So I'll give you another example, Saeed. If you speak accurately, 100% accurately, but you speak like this for the test, you will fail, because although your words are correct, you aren't sounding like a human being. How long should you revise before the test score 65? Depends, of course, on where you're starting. If your starting point is very, very low, then you need more time. If, say, you have come to the PTE because you previously did the IELTS and you got a 6.5, well, it shouldn't take you that long, because a 6.5, broadly speaking, is in the ballpark of a 65. Different tests, get familiar with the PTE. Don't think you're going in to do another test that's just the same as all of the others. They're all quite different. So knowing what you're going to find is better. Okay, people who are in the Q&A instead of the chat box, if you want me to look at the work that you're submitting, do it in the chat box rather than the Q&A. Good luck, Samia. Good luck doing your exam tomorrow. Get a good night's sleep. Drink plenty of fluid, but not so much that you have to go to the toilet all the time. And yeah, I think you'll be fine. How do you improve your fluency? Find a pace that is comfortable for you. Okay, so a good example that I always say to people is when you're doing reading aloud, record yourself reading aloud and make sure that you've adopted a pace which is easy to understand and clear and not too rapid. Thank you, Martha. Appreciate your comment. Pen and paper are important in the OET because if you don't have pen and paper, you can't do it. But they are trialing a new version on computers in June, and hopefully, if everything works, it will be on a computer in July. But it will be an option. It won't be everywhere. You don't have to do it on a computer. But because of COVID-19, OET had to stop the tests in test centers, so they've had to come up with another solution. You have typo errors when typing. It doesn't have an impact. The more, however much you correct your stuff, no, like backspace, no, it's not true. If you delete or if you backspace, don't. It doesn't affect your score. 1 month is generally pretty good to prepare for the test. Of course, it depends on how diligently you work in the month, rather than just sitting down and watching Netflix and thinking about it for a month. You know, use your time sensibly. Is there any format in the exam? How many listening questions? Yes, Sahid, we do. If you come to the live classes and live mock tests, we do explain how many of each of the tasks there are. So we do explain, and the number can be 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, and it varies because Pearson are constantly, Mohit, I'm not a guru. I'm just a guy looking at a girl, telling her I love. No, I just know a lot about the PTE. Yeah, look, so just get familiar with where your scores are coming from, how many tasks you're going to be doing, and how many you might expect. A good example is there might be 2 essays or 1. There might be 2 summarized written texts or 3. There might be 2 or 3 summarized spoken texts. You just have to be prepared, knowing that it might be this many or that many. You will get a proportionate amount of time, of course, proportioned to it. Are there individual paid tests available? We just have the mock test available. I think we're in the process of producing another one because they've been very, very popular. How to improve your listening, podcasts, regular podcasts where you're forced to listen, or TED Talks where you can verify what you've heard with a transcript. They're very, very good. With reading, I think Science Daily is a really good resource. And always, whether you are listening or whether you are reading, however long it is what you're reading, doesn't matter how long the article is, it shouldn't be over long. I think a few hundred words is fine. Give yourself a task. Don't just read it and say, oh, that was interesting. Read it and say, oh, I'm going to read this 600 word article about the moon, and I'm going to write a summary in 4 sentences. Same with the listening. Why am I listening to this? What's more important, pronunciation and fluency? Both. Is PTE academic essential for migration in other countries outside Australia? Yes, New Zealand. Where else? I'm not sure. I think you'll find more and more countries are going to be accepting it. It's been a very successful test. I know that the UK were a bit funny about it, but the UK is a bit funny about everything nowadays. I say that as a British person. But there's all sorts of weird stuff going on in England at the moment. That's the fact that COVID-19's taken a grip. But yes, Fatima, I don't know. Pronunciation or fluency? Both. They're both important. Remember, fluency is basically speaking without stopping. Pronunciation is making sure that the words that you're saying are clear and understandable, comprehensible. Okay? Any idea if Canada's going to accept PTE? I don't know. It's a good question. My suspicion is no, but I've got no other reason for thinking that other than they currently accept the IELTS and they are pushing and pushing and pushing on this other test you may have heard of called CELPIP, which we don't prepare people for. There's a site called Super PTE. It's not related to E2. No, I've never heard of them. Look, anyone can open a business, can't they? But not everyone's good at it. I don't know anything about the other people. I just know what we do is really, really good. So I hope that we fulfill all of your PTE needs and you don't go off with other people. Please don't do that. You'll break my heart. How many words for an essay? 200 to 300 words, but keep it in the low 200s. You don't get any extra points for writing 299 instead of 201. Listening, excellent. Reading, look, looks to me like your reading is about time management. To manage your time well in the reading, Mohit, come to the live classes and learn about making decisions under pressure of time, especially, I think, some multiple choice, multiple answers, and reorder paragraphs. That's a real pain when it comes to time management. Writing, you're nearly there, mate. Just tighten up slightly. We missed mark by 1 and should reevaluation. Akash, it's always tempting to challenge when you miss by 1 mark. They almost never change it. Can happen, but they almost never do. They strongly discourage people from doing it. It's up to you. I mean, chances are low that they'll give it. Also, it depends on the skill. I think they only do it for the productive skills, not for the receptive. They're not for listening and reading. Okay. So they may, but it's unlikely. They strongly discourage it, and they think, it's going to cost you money. Describe imagery or paragraph very difficult. Yeah, but Youssef, we teach a good system. Come to the live classes and practice. Any web link for converting PTE scores to IELTS scores? Yeah, look, if you just go to any Google, just Google it. What does this mean in an IELTS score? And they broadly have PTE scores in the table, PTE scores, IELTS scores, Common European Framework, and then whatever. I mean, TOEFL and every other test as well. Will each session have their own timer? Yeah. Yeah, basically, it's annoying, isn't it? In the PTE, you get a block of time. You get a block of time, and not for each task. No, you get a block of time. It's annoying. Learn to deal with that. Yeah, well, Samia, interesting problem. How many marks in PTE is equal to 7 in 4 modules in the IELTS? About 65, I guess. Is 65 plus is an IELTS 7? Computer-based exam worldwide, yes. So you can take the PTE all over the world. Pearson's everywhere. They're ubiquitous nowadays. They are all over the place. How do you stay focused with the noise from the other participants? Well, what you would like to do is to put plastic bags over all of their heads, but you can't do that. Also, you don't have noise excluding earphones. So what you can do, which is legal and not going to get you in trouble with the law, is practice with background noise. It's annoying, but you have to get used to it. Can you spend more time based on your preference? I guess you can. You've got to make your choices. That's what I would say. But just know what you're expected to spend on each, in time-wise, what you expected to spend on each thing, and work that way. What's the difference between IELTS test and PTE? So, well, IELTS is still most commonly done on paper. PTE is always done on a computer. IELTS, of course, is also offered on a computer, but not exclusively. Also, I think, again, I'm going to give you anecdotal, not scientific evidence. IELTS writing is harder and IELTS speaking is easier. That's not scientific. That is not, and don't go around saying, Colin says that this is the gospel truth. It's not the gospel truth, but that's just generally the way that it is, okay? I've seen people who've done the speaking in the PTE and didn't do very well, but they've come from having 8 in the IELTS speaking. Conversely, they've done very well. They got 90 in the writing PTE, but they've previously been getting 6 and 6.5 in the IELTS. Anecdotal, but interesting, worth thinking about that. In the UK, you'll have to wear a mask to take the PTE, which could impact your speaking. Yeah, will this be taken into account as your voice could sound muffled? Probably. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think they would have to. Got a very low score in fluency and pronunciation. What could be the reasons? Could be that you're not employing a pattern of speech which is English language pattern of speech, and that's frequently the problem. So you can have it so your speaking is, you know, a little higher, but the other enabling skills are a bit lower, and that's why they're sort of giving you where the problems lie. Focus on your pace and make sure that your intonation sounds like a, you know, native-like, not mimicking an accent. Is it better to leave space between paragraphs? Yeah, no, leave the space between paragraphs. That's good enough. Is PT easier than IELTS? No, depends on the skill. As I said, anecdotally, it seems to me IELTS is more challenging when it comes to writing, and PT seems to be more challenging when it comes to speaking. But again, that's not a rule. That's just, it seems to me, based on conversations with many people. We've gone on long today. I've got to go. Listen, thanks everyone for your questions. It's been a delight. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, YouTube people. Thank you for Zoom people. Yeah, grammar skills is just one of the skills. Enabling skills, does it relate only to writing? No, it doesn't only relate to writing. Written discourse does, only relates to the essay. Okay, everyone, I've got to go. Thank you so much. I'll be back again tomorrow or the day after, something like that. Let's leave space between paragraphs. Yeah, leave a space between paragraphs. That will do. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Cheers.